let me ask you something. If you've been working for 10, 20, maybe even 30 years, why does financial stability still feel out of reach? Because right now, about two-thirds of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, not just low-income earners. We're talking about teachers, engineers, nurses, people doing everything right. People like David, 42, with a good job, or Lisa, 55, who's been working her entire life as a nurse. On paper, they should be fine, but in reality, they're still trying to catch up. And here's the part that really hits. A huge number of Americans can't handle a $1,000 emergency without going into debt. After years of working, saving, trying to be responsible, one unexpected expense can still throw everything off. So what's going on? Because this isn't laziness, it's not bad decisions, it's something deeper. It's like pouring water into a bucket without realizing there are small holes at the bottom. You keep putting effort in, your time, your energy, your discipline, but something keeps quietly draining it. And from the outside, everyone looks fine. Your coworkers seem stable, your friends are traveling, your neighbors look comfortable. But behind the scenes, a lot of people are one problem away from stress. So if you've ever thought, shouldn't I be further ahead by now? You're not alone. You're exactly where millions of Americans are. My name is Chris, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, how it works, and how long it actually takes people to become financially stable. On the Chris Finance channel, we break down the real systems behind money so you can grow it, avoid mistakes, and make smarter decisions over time. So if that's something you want, go ahead and subscribe. Because here's the truth most people never hear. Financial stability isn't something you reach in a few years. For most people, it takes a lot longer. And the real question is, how long does it actually take? Because once you understand that, you stop feeling behind and start seeing exactly where you stand. Before we even talk about how long it takes to become financially stable, we need to clear up something that confuses almost everyone. Because most people are chasing a version of financial stability that doesn't actually exist. When people hear that phrase, they picture something like this: no stress, plenty of money in the bank, maybe a paid-off house, vacations without thinking twice. Basically, being rich. But that's not financial stability. That's financial freedom. And for most people, that comes much later, if at all. Financial stability is much simpler and much more practical. It's the point where you can pay your bills on time without anxiety. An unexpected expense doesn't completely derail your life. You're not relying on credit cards just to get through the month, and you finally feel like you have some control over your money. That's it. Not flashy, not exciting, but incredibly important. Because for a lot of Americans, even that level feels far away. Right now, many people don't even have one full month of expenses saved. So the idea of having 3 to 6 months set aside, what experts recommend, feels almost unrealistic. And this is where the disconnect happens. People think they're failing because they're not wealthy yet, when in reality, they haven't even been given a clear definition of what stable looks like. It's like trying to hit a target that was never properly explained to you. Now let's make this even more real. If you're in your 30s, financial stability often feels like you're just getting your footing. You're earning, yes, but you're also dealing with rent, student loans, maybe starting a family. If you're in your 40s, the pressure usually increases. Mortgage, kids, responsibilities. Sometimes you're earning more, but it feels like more is going out too. And if you're in your 50s or 60s, the question starts to shift. It's no longer just, am I stable? It becomes, am I going to be okay long term? And here's the part most people don't talk about openly. A lot of people don't feel financially stable until much later than they expected. Not because they did something wrong, but because stability takes time to build. Think of it like this. Financial stability isn't like flipping a switch. It's more like slowly soundproofing a noisy room. At first, everything feels chaotic. Every expense is loud. Every bill gets your attention. But over time, as you build savings, reduce debt, and gain control, things get quieter, more manageable, more predictable. And that's when you realize you're not panicking about money the way you used to. That's stability. So before we even talk about timelines, understand this. You're not trying to become rich overnight. You're trying to reach a point where money stops feeling like a constant source of stress. And once you understand that, the next question becomes even more important. How long does it actually take to get there? So now that we understand what financial stability really means, let's answer the question everyone is quietly wondering. How long does it actually take to get there? And the honest answer is longer than most people expect. Not because people are doing everything wrong, but because of how the process actually works in real life. Let's break it down into phases, because financial stability isn't one big moment. It's something that builds in layers over time. Phase 1, survival mode, your 20s and early 30s. This is where most people start. You're working, you're earning, but you're also figuring everything out for the first time. Maybe you've got student loans, maybe rent is taking a big chunk of your income, maybe you're still learning how to manage money in the real world. At this stage, saving consistently is hard, not because you lack discipline, but because your income is still catching up to your life. A lot of people here feel like, I'm trying, but nothing really is sticking. And that's normal. This phase is less about building wealth and more about building awareness. Phase 2, building control, your mid-30s and 40s. This is where things start to shift, but also where pressure increases. Your income is likely higher than it was before, but so are your responsibilities. Mortgage, kids, family obligations, rising living costs. This is the phase where many people start saving more seriously. You might finally build a small emergency fund. You might begin investing. You might feel like you're gaining control, but at the same time, expenses are coming at you from every direction. It can feel like you're organizing your house while people are still walking in and dropping things everywhere. Progress is happening, but it doesn't always feel like it. Phase 3, real stability, your late 40s and 60s. This is where things finally begin to feel different for many people. Some debts are reduced or gone. Your income may be at its peak. Your habits are more consistent. And most importantly, you start to feel a level of control that wasn't there before. Not perfect, but stable. You're not panicking over every expense. You've built some cushion. You're thinking more about the future than just surviving the present. And here's the key insight. For a lot of Americans, this is the stage where financial stability actually becomes real. Not in their 20s, not even fully in their 30s, but often in their late 40s, 50s, sometimes even early 60s. The reality most people don't hear. When you step back and look at the full picture, financial stability often takes 10 to 25 years of consistent effort. Let that sink in. That's not a failure. That's the timeline. Because during those years, you're not just saving money. You're increasing your income, managing debt, adapting to rising costs, learning from mistakes, all at the same time. So if you're 35 and still figuring things out, you're not late. If you're 45 and just starting to feel some control, you're not behind. If you're 50 and trying to stabilize things, you're not failing. You're moving through a process that simply takes time.
Now here's where things start to make a lot more sense. Because if becoming financially stable takes 10, 15, sometimes 25 years, the natural question is, why does it take that long? Is it just poor decisions or lack of discipline? Not really. There are forces working in the background that most people were never taught to notice. And once you see them, everything starts to click. Number 1, the cost of living keeps moving. Every year, things get a little more expensive. Rent goes up, groceries cost more, healthcare gets pricier, and it doesn't happen in a dramatic way all at once. It's subtle, quiet, almost unnoticeable day to day. But over time, it adds up. So even when you're earning more than you did 5 years ago, it doesn't always feel like progress, because your money is being stretched further in more directions. It's like trying to walk up an escalator that's slowly moving downward. You're still moving forward, but it takes more effort just to stay in the same place. Number 2, income doesn't grow as fast as you think. Most people assume their income will steadily rise over time, but in reality, it often grows slower than expected. Raises are incremental. Opportunities take time. Sometimes income plateaus. Meanwhile, your expenses don't wait. They adjust quickly, especially when life changes happen. Marriage, kids, homeownership. So there's often a gap between what you thought you would be earning by now and what actually happened. And that gap can slow everything down. Number 3, debt quietly slows progress. Debt is one of the biggest reasons financial stability takes longer than expected. Not because all debt is bad, but because it takes a portion of your income and locks it in place. Every month before you can move forward, a piece of your money is already spoken for. Credit cards, student loans, car payments. And the tricky part? It doesn't feel dramatic. It just feels normal. Until you realize years have passed and a large part of your income has been going toward the past instead of your future. It's like trying to run forward while someone is lightly holding onto your shirt. You can move, but not nearly as fast as you could without that resistance. Number 4, compounding takes time to show up. This is the one that surprises people the most. Everyone hears about investing, about compound growth, about making your money work for you. But what they don't realize is this: compounding is slow in the beginning, very slow. At first, it feels like nothing is happening. You're investing, but the growth looks small, almost insignificant. And this is where many people lose patience. They stop early or they don't stay consistent, not realizing that the real growth happens later. It's like heating water on a stove. At 50 degrees, nothing happens. At 70, still nothing. At 90, still looks the same. But at 100, everything changes. That's how compounding works. The breakthrough doesn't come at the beginning. It comes after time has done its job. When you combine all of these together, rising costs, slow income growth, debt pressure, delayed compounding, you start to see the full picture. It's not that people are bad with money. It's that the system itself requires time, consistency, and patience to work. And this is where your mindset starts to change. Because once you understand these forces, you stop asking, "Why am I not there yet?" and start asking, "Am I moving in the right direction?" Because if you are, then even if it feels slow, you're still moving forward. And here's the good news. Once these forces start working for you instead of against you, something interesting happens. Progress that once felt slow starts to feel faster. Control that once felt impossible starts to feel natural. And that brings us to the most important part of this entire conversation: what actually matters most if you want to become financially stable and stay there. When you step back and look at everything we've talked about, the long timeline, the different phases, the hidden forces working in the background, something important becomes clear. Financial stability was never meant to happen quickly. And once you truly understand that, you stop being frustrated by the pace and start focusing on the process. Because this isn't about hitting some magical number one day and suddenly everything feels perfect. That moment doesn't really exist. Instead, financial stability is something you build, piece by piece over time. It's the result of small decisions that don't feel life-changing in the moment, but quietly shape your future. Choosing to save, even when it's not a lot. Choosing to avoid unnecessary debt. Choosing to invest consistently, even when the results seem slow. None of these feel life-changing on their own, but together, they create momentum. Here is the shift people miss. Most people are waiting for a breakthrough moment, a higher salary, a big opportunity, a lucky break. But the people who actually become financially stable usually don't rely on one big moment. They rely on a system, a simple, repeatable system. Earn money, keep a portion of it, put it to work, and give it time. Then repeat, again and again and again. It's not exciting, it's not fast, but it works. But here is a more honest way to look at it. Instead of asking, "Why is this taking so long?" a better question is, "Am I doing the right things consistently?" Because if the answer is yes, then even if it doesn't feel like it right now, you're building something solid. The
The real goal isn't to become rich overnight. It's to reach a point where money stops being a constant source of stress, unexpected expenses don't feel like emergencies, and you finally feel like you're in control of your financial life. That's stability. And for most people, that moment comes gradually, not all at once. So if you've ever looked at your life and thought, I should be further ahead by now, take a step back, because the truth is, you're probably a lot closer than you think. You're just in the middle of a process that doesn't happen overnight. If this video helped you see your financial journey differently, go ahead and hit the like button because it helps this message reach more people who need it. And if you want to understand how actually grow your money, avoid the mistakes that keep people stuck, and make smarter financial decisions over time, subscribe to Chris Finance. Because on this channel, we're not chasing hype. We're not promising shortcuts. We're breaking down how money really works, so you can move forward with clarity, confidence, and control.